What's up, YouTube? Looking at all these controllers, you probably think I have a problem. And my wife probably would agree with you. But over the years, I've collected these controllers. I had some time to use them, quite a bit of time actually. And I always get questions like, should I get this controller? Should I get that controller? And so this is to kind of clear the air and let you know what I think. What are my top controllers, both wired and wireless, as well as system-specific controllers. Because as we know, certain controllers may be good for one system, but not the other. So to get this started off, we're going to do wired controllers first. Now, as far as my top 3 wired controllers go, my number 3 would just be a really basic iBuffalo controller. They're extremely cheap. They're going to work for Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, all those basic systems, and they're going to do the trick. They're going to be cheap. A lot of people like that retro feel that it brings with the experience. So overall, really good controller. At number 2, I'm going to give the any kind of Xbox controller or PlayStation style controller. Now, Xbox controller is great because it does vibrate. It works for pretty much every single system. You're going to have analog sticks, vibration, a good quality build, and you can use it on your Xbox as well. So you might already have one hanging around your house. So for those reasons, it's a great contender. Now you also have the F310, which is a PlayStation-based controller, wired, around $20. It's a little light, and it does not vibrate. But other than that, it's a good controller. There have been people say that these triggers do wear out over time, and I have to say they do over a lot of use. Some are better than others, but for the price tag, it really is an inexpensive controller. If you have a PS3 or PS4 controller, I don't own those systems currently, so I don't have those lying around. You might, so that's also another great choice. I know that those are wireless, but they work great, so if you have them around, they're a great option. In number 1, though, as far as wired controllers is concerned, I'd have to go with the GameSir G3W because it's around $18. It's the wired version of this. It feels great in your hand. It's around 16 ounces, so it's right around that pound mark, and it's really nice controller. It lights up. It has nice triggers. You can use it for pretty much any system, and it's really cheap. So grabbing a couple of these can really make your build inexpensive and still give you access to almost all the games in the catalog and all the emulation the Raspberry Pi 3 can do. Moving along to wireless controllers. So the first one I'm going to introduce is the F710 by Logitech. This is a wireless version of the 310, but it vibrates. It's got a battery pack. It's got a fob, a 2.4 gigahertz fob, so it's really easy to pair with any system. It's got great range, great triggers, great layout, great feel, great control, really good overall controller. I like it a lot. It's going to be great for your Sony games, your Sega games, even Super Nintendo is going to be great on here. Next up is the Wii Controller. The Wii Controller is awesome. They make both a generic and the real thing. Go ahead and go with generic. Power lead is good. I'll put a link in the description below. Really inexpensive for a generic version. And I just really like this controller. It fits great in your hand. You got the analog sticks. You get a little bit different layout. Love the D-pad on here. Overall, in love with it. The range is great. Battery power is amazing as well. Overall, awesome controller. Love it. You've seen, I have many videos on these. I really like them. And the third one, again, not third place, second place, first place, but the GameSir. I like the GameSir for the price point. They're right around that $30 price point. Does Bluetooth. You can use it with a phone. Comes with a mount. It lights up. You got the analog sticks. You got the bumpers. You got every triggers. You got everything you want in a controller for an inexpensive price. There's a lot of similar brands to this one. I'm just showing you this one, but this whole configuration and layout, I'm a really big fan of it because it works for a lot of different systems. It works for the PlayStation. It works for your phone. It works for the Pi. So I just think you're getting a lot when you buy one of these. If you already have a PS3, PS4, Xbox One controller laying at home, just use that. I mean, that's a great controller for an inexpensive price. But if you're starting from scratch or want a different experience, I definitely go for one of these. Moving along to specific controllers for specific systems. Now, I don't have any specific Nintendo controllers, but there's a lot out there really cheap USB controllers. You can have them for $8, $10 a piece, maybe even $2, $3 if you get them from China. Really cheap. There's also controllers like the iBuffalo controller, and the cheaper version is the iNext controller. Both great options. The iNext isn't going to give you the turbo button, but besides that, they're both capable controllers great for Super Nintendo, Nintendo, and other systems as well. But as far as specific to the system, gotta give with these ones. The Wii Controller, I'm a big fan of it with, Nintendo 64 and Nintendo DS, as well as Super Nintendo and Nintendo. So this is more of an overall Nintendo controller, in my opinion. When it comes to Nintendo 64, you can see in the video below that I do have a USB-specific one. It's really cheap. It's decent. It's good. It's not amazing. The thumb analog stick is really the biggest issue with it. Everything else on it, though, is great, and it's inexpensive. If you want something a little more baller, something great, 8BitO, there's an 8BitO NES Pro controller there. Then 8BitO makes a great Nintendo 64 controller. They're also making a great wireless Super Nintendo controller out soon. This is the NES Pro. Why did I put this in my top 3, you might be wondering, as far as wireless? My hands are big. This is my hand. It's about as big as my face, and my face is not small. And these little thumb pads don't do it for me. I'm cramped up. I couldn't game on this for longer than maybe 20 to 30 minutes without getting uncomfortable. So although it's a great controller, it looks great, everything else, it's not for me. And I'll be giving this thing away soon in one of my giveaways. So look out for that. As far as PlayStation specific, I mean F710, or if you got a PS2, PS3 controller, go for it. As far as Sega Genesis, I cannot recommend this controller enough. This is the Hyperkin controller. It's around 20 bucks. You got the mode button up top, so you can still exit out of your games. Great for Sega Genesis, not Super Nintendo, and Sega 32X. It's also a great arcade stick, because you get the 6 buttons just like you would on an arcade layout. So it's great for arcade, and it's great for Sega Genesis. So there you go. There's kind of a peep into the controller. There's so much to pick from. But I think this video is going to help you out. Choose the controller you want, save you some money, and save you some time. So if you like this video, give it a little like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ask a question if you got any. And we'll see you guys on the next one.